Is anybody awake out there? There's one person. I say, welcome to the morning project update. My action for today is to distribute 100 flyers. I've got a little one-page. I'm going to go to some coffee shops, set them out, and begin, well, the reason I started this channel. I'm looking for 100 people to join me in starting the organization of the future. And I call this organization the Community Building Project Model. And is the organization of the future because its operating principles focus on the future first. So, in order to do that, in order to focus on the future first, the organization needs to start right now. And so, here we are. But who am I? Why should I be tasked with starting this organization? And the truth is that I'm just a normal working person. I don't have money or influence to get other people to pay attention to my community building project and to buy into it and to participate in it just because I said so. I'm just a middle-aged white guy who does low-wage jobs and supports writes obscure books. I just got a thumbs up. I'm making sure everything's okay. I don't have money or influence to get people to join my project just because I say so. As you can see, I'm just a middle-aged white guy who does low-wage jobs and writes obscure books. And to be perfectly honest, I've spent most of my life not participating in the social world in a wider sense. And so, without any money or influence or expertise, I'm pretty much powerless in a social sense. And yet, if I am able to conceive of community building projects and to make the effort to organize these meetings about it, well, then I know that there are other normal working people out there like me who are ready to start working on community building projects. So the project starts with a minimum of 100 people. Because if you bring together 100 normal working people, then instead of being mostly powerless in a social sense, now these individuals gain a power through the community building project. Now, these 100 people have buying power. And so now we have 100 people who together have power. They have buying power now. But see, this buying power of 100 people is different than the buying power of one or a few wealthy people. The buying power of 100 normal working people is not just in the money of it, the actual currency of it, but this buying power is also all the human resources and the human capital of 100 working people, all their interests and skills and knowledge and different ways of participating. So the community building project channels this buying power of at least 100 people. It channels this buying power so that it can grow and develop into the organization of the future. And how does the project do this? Well, the project does this by breaking down the buying power of at least 100 people into two distinct powers. One power is the power of shared purpose, and the other is the power of diversity. So, what is the power of shared purpose? Well, for this project, the operating principles guide the shared purpose of the project. So, what is the power of diversity within the project? What is the power of the 100 participants and all their uniqueness? And each person with their own story and perspective and desires and knowledge. And so these are the two new powers that the project creates based off of buying power: the power of shared purpose and the power of diversity. Now, the power of shared purpose is based on the principles of the project, and all the essential principles I have described in my book about community building projects. So I've set up these meetings to walk people through the principles and explain how it would work on the ground level, and explain how the principles guide the power of shared purpose. And my hope is doing this is that potential participants might give the project a check and explain more about exactly what these principles are and about what the power of diversity means. So, you got first two meetings scheduled. KCWhat.com is where you can get the tickets. We got Sunday, March 16th. It's the very first meeting. It's at Waldo Library, 2:45 to 3:45. And then we got March 20th, our second meeting. Let's take a look here. So for the first meeting on March 16th, at 2:15 to 3:45, I'm going to go through everything that's in my book. It's going to be a small meal, sandwiches, wraps, fresh fruit and vegetables. And it's kind of in between the lunch and supper hour, and so I call it Fresh Nosh Lunch. And so that's the first one. It's $15. It's your ticket on KC What. For this one, I actually have a max of 16 people. And then the second meeting, it's down at the Plaza Library. This one does have a max of 30. It's the same idea. It's the community building project model meeting. And explain exactly what I have in mind. Go through my books and hear back from you. So those are the first two meetings. And the project is actually two things. The project is a broadcasting arm to promote the project called KC What goodmeal.com, and it's something else as well. It's the Good Meal Deal, which is the business that the project operates, and what I'm trying to get people to buy into. And so, if you it's actually the official the meetings are to explain the project, and you officially want to buy into it. If you want to be number 1 or 2 of the first 100 people, of the first 1,000 people, this is where you do it. This is the official buy-in portal, goodmeal.com. It's a blank generic networking site that will be built out as the project grows. So we got Casey What, we got the Good Meal Deal. And if you go to goodmealdeal.com, I did a video of me going to here earlier. So if I actually go to goodmealdeal.com, here's what you'll see. It's gated, so you're going to see this page here, and it's got my son there, so you know it's me. And then at the bottom here, you've got an option to where you can, either if you're local, you sign up for the 3-week trial project. It's the very first one with a minimum of 100 people. Or if you saw this video somewhere else and you're in a different area, you're really interested in what I'm trying to do, there's an option there for you to buy into it in an official sense on there. And so that's the goodmealdeal.com. I'll be talking about that. But for now, that's enough. We've got that there. If you're really into it and you want to get out ahead of it, that's the way to do it. At the meetings, I'm going to explain exactly how the Good Meal Deal is going to work. And so everybody who does officially buy into the project, I'm going to announce you on the broadcast, in the morning update or some other part of the broadcast. I'm going to announce each participant. And just to try to sell it for 3 weeks and try to get the 100 people to buy into it within 3 weeks. And what I'm standing by is that once it officially begins, after 3 weeks, if you bought into it for $50, we've only got 20 people, we only got 80 people. If we don't reach the 100 in the 3 weeks, you get your money back. You're entitled to your money back. Or come to the meeting, we'll figure out what to do with it. And so every time someone buys into it, the next morning I'm going to announce you on here. And it's a normal, checkout process to buy into it. But there also is one question that says, why? Why buy into the project? And so that's the piece of data that we're collecting. We want to know why you're buying into the project. And on the website, each participant is represented by a son, and your why goes into the website. Your why of your choice, and your display name. You don't have to use your actual name if you don't want to, but your display name goes on there, and your why. And so that's the participant roster. On Casey What, we're following the project just like news. We're following the progress of it. And each participant who signs up, we're announcing it. We're announcing we have a new participant. Here's their why. Here's their display name. You can find them on goodmealdeal.com or Casey What. Here's how you can reach them. Maybe they don't want to be reached. And that's what this is all about. This isn't about anonymity or some webs. It's just about building a local network, a local community project. And so we're mailing stuff out. And so it's not about anonymity. It's about being a person within the community, being a part of the project. Up with for this speech, see if how much of it I can recall, and then return here tomorrow for another update. So here's the speech I had. See if I can do it. Hello, possible participant out there. If you have about 7 minutes, I would ask that you spend it listening to me. I just noticed this one had March 13th on there. It's actually March 14th, but if you have about 7 minutes, I would ask that you spend it listening to me speak about the organization of the future. I have a prediction that I'd like to run by you. And this prediction concerns the way in which this organization will be universal. In my previous video about the organization of the future, I took 3 minutes to suggest exactly how it would start. I pitched it as a live dinner delivery service combined with a compost pickup service, an organization that I call the community building project. Now, in that first video, I described how these 100% compostable delivery bags would provide the basis of the project. A different approach, the approach of considering the future first, because it intends to be the organization of the future. And so let's take a moment right now to imagine what would happen if this kind of dinner delivery service compost service I'm describing found widespread use later on. Let's try to imagine it. And imagining in this way, possible environmental impact, and in that sense, the possible impact on the future. When you think about it in that way, well, it actually makes it easier to implement important operating principles about packaging materials during the present day. Because right now, the community building project is small enough and local enough that it could be created anywhere. It always begins with a minimum of 100 people, which is also large enough to create a critical threshold of participants in any particular area. But, the community that this project creates is not simply a reflection of the local community already in place, and its laws are principles. And so a project and an organization created in this way is both entirely local and completely universal, because it is a community of people who have bought into the operating principles of the project. The first principle we've already discussed, using only compostable packaging materials, because the project starts by considering its impact on the environment, and in that sense, the future as well, because it intends to be the organization of the future. The second operating principle is that the project delivers other goods in addition to meals and runs from 6 to 9 p.m. at a minimum. And the third operating principle is more abstract, that the project strives to make every transaction an ideal delivery for both parties. This isn't about just, making a quick sale and forgetting about it. And the interaction here isn't between customer and worker, but between, it's not about a quick sale. It's